Preach for another episode in Season 2. And it seems pretty dark over here on my side. I don't remember it being this dark. Is it this? It doesn't look dark in there. It doesn't look dark on that side when I set it all up. But over here, it seems pretty fucking dark right now. Oh, well, maybe I usually have the ceiling lights on. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. But, how are we doing? How's everybody? It's been a couple weeks since we checked in. Obviously, last time was big episode number 70. I had my second guest on, my buddy Dave Farrow. People seemed to like that episode. We had a good conversation. We had good topics. If you liked having Dave on, I can do it more. You can type in the comments and whatnot. We have a good rapport, so it's always nice to have a good guest on. But yeah, sometimes, like I said before, I gotta just keep it moving, keep it rolling. It's easier to do the solo episodes, easier to edit them and whatnot, and put them together. So that's why we go back to this format. But I like to be able to do that from time to time. I've told other people too that people have asked me, so I'm never opposed to it. It's just it's a lot of work for me to do, so I spread it out a lot. So yeah, we're back. We're just back to business here, and we just went through a whole thing. We changed up again behind me. I love it. I have so many posters now. It's crazy. I've brought all of my posters, my entire collection of. It's just insane. So much that I'll never run out, But I wanted to do like my for a few dollars more poster to go with this, because last time I did Goodfellas, Django, and then I was going to do another gangster western combination. Those are my two favorite genres, and then sci-fi. Sci-fi obviously is my third favorite genre. But yeah, I didn't. You wouldn't believe how fucking stacked up, how packed that closet is. It's like you're looking for a needle in a haystack trying to find a specific poster. I wrote down on all the tubes what's in each tube, which movies, but after rearranging so many times, like every time I change one, I put it in another tube with another name on the forget finding that poster. The thing about that poster too is it was one of my newer purchases. I never even opened it. I never put it in a frame. I never hung it up. It's new. It's brand new. I cannot find this thing. I gotta get to the. I was like, I'm not gonna either. We can either record the podcast or we can go looking for this poster for fucking 2 hours. So here we are. And this is my my secondary mic. Always right here. This guy. How we doing? How's everybody? Another week, another episode of Screen Preach. We'll talk about movies today in the name of the God, Father, the Son of Odin, and the Holy Jedi. So, I'm still in my little superhero binge of shows. I'm catching up. A big thing in the news was that Marvel's shows, they're leaving Netflix. They're all leaving Netflix on March 1st. I'm in the middle of trying to catch up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm on season 5. There's 7 total seasons, and now I don't know, is it going to be on Disney Plus or is it not? I need to know. There's no confirmation on this yet. I gotta know, though. I'm right in the middle of all these things. I'm still watching all the same stuff. I'm not going to spend time. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. We're going to jump right into this week's episode because we got 3 awesome topics, 3 very fairly new things. 2 TV shows, 1 movie. Movie came out a few weeks ago. The shows are finished. If you watched the last episode, you know what they are because I brought up what this episode would be. And I gotta get to the news, and I gotta go through all the things I saw in the last few months that I just never talked about. I'm gonna go through it real quick, speed round. I promise, speed round. There will be 1 main news topic. Whatever I think the most important one is. I haven't decided yet. But, yeah, let me run through that because there was so much stuff. There really was. There was so much stuff. And I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention how important these things actually are. Obviously all the trailers that came out during the Super Bowl, kind of a big deal, especially, considering there was the first look at Jordan Peele's next film, Nope, and now there's a full trailer for it. That comes out later this year in July. I'm actually surprised I'm seeing that poster hung around here like already, because that's months away. But that's the best thing about actually going around LA is like seeing the constant changing of the billboards, because they just keep up with that shit so much. I like to see that. Like March, going into March, we have the Batman, and I know Moon Knight's next. You know, you're gonna see Moon Knight everywhere. You're gonna see Halo. March is a fire month. Even April and May are fire months. This year, the amount of content, the amount of stuff, it's going to be pretty insane. I mean, so far, we've seen some pretty wild stuff. And the fact that Kenobi is this year, and dude, I need a trailer to that. I don't know about you, but I need a fucking trailer for that big time. They are just holding out on us like I've never seen before with this one. They did drop a poster. Fire to have that little tease, but not that fire, because I get the tread that's but today, Junior, the trailer, that's what I need. You had James Gunn teasing that he has another DC project. So one of the shows we'll be talking about is Peacemaker. So both Book of Boba Fett and Peacemaker are two of the topics. The first seasons of those shows have ended. They didn't renew Boba Fett, but they definitely renewed Peacemaker, and they fucking better, because it was worth watching. But apparently James Gunn has other shows lined up with HBO Max, potentially, in the DC world. What other characters is he going to spin off? I know on the Marvel side of things, he's doing shows for Groot, Rocket, so he's a very busy guy. I'm excited for anything he does. We have the M'Baku actor Winston Duke reportedly having a bigger role in the second Black Panther film. Makes sense. Daniel Radcliffe is to play Weird Al Yankovic in a biopic called Weird. And be on Roku. There's even a first image for that. Andrew Garfield wants more Spider-Man films with Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland. Makes sense. That dynamic, as he puts it, is juicy. And yes, it is. Mission Impossible 7 and 8 were postponed. Knives Out 2 is expected to drop in late 2022. There was even a little tiny first look at that when Netflix dropped their trailer of what's to come this year. There was that big news of Stranger Things. Season 4 is getting split into 2 parts. We have premiere dates, right? Season 5 will be the final season of the series. Can't wait for that. Yellowstone, Season 5, is set to return this year. There's still a lot of story to tell, says one of the producers. And yeah, I mean, I know Taylor Sheridan he's had that mapped out he knows exactly where he wants that show to go. And we'll get into the big Taylor Sheridan so-called universe that seems to be building on the Paramount side of things in just a second, because that is probably the coolest thing I saw. That'll be my biggest news. For me, that's like, I've been having a lot more movement. I've been trying to really break into this industry. I've been meeting more people. I've been making new connections. I've been getting potential job offers. I've been getting rejected for those potential job offers. It's just part of the fucking game. But that would be something I would definitely love to do, is work under, is be like the writer's assistant on any of those shows, or anything involving Taylor Sheridan. He's probably my favorite writer of this current generation right now. The Ahsoka Tano Disney Plus series adds Mary Elizabeth Winstead. They also added Ray Stevenson in a villain role, but there's a lot of talk. Is it Thrawn? Is it not Thrawn? We'll see. I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see him playing Thrawn, but you never know. Batgirl officially casts Ivory Aquino as first trans character in DC Comics feature film. So, I did not realize Batgirl is... that's great, progressiveness, all that, but I didn't realize Batgirl is a movie on HBO Max. I thought it was going to be in theaters. I don't know. I guess it's a direct to HBO Max movie. I don't really know, but Michael Keaton's Batman is going to be in that. He's making his return in The Flash soon. He even put up a picture today. Won't be today when this comes out. Today, on the 25th, teasing his return. He's coming back. They're doing a Percy Jackson and the Olympians TV series on Disney Plus. I didn't even see that movie, honestly, so I don't know. For those fans of it, maybe you're hype. I didn't read. They're based on books. Right? I didn't read the books. Mortal Kombat sequel in the works. Obviously, it was going to be, but they've hired the Moon Knight screenwriter Jeremy Slater to pen the project. Steve Carell, John Krasinski to reunite for Paramount's family movie, If. No details yet exactly what it is. Jason Momoa in talks to join the Fast and Furious franchise as the next villain. He seemed like an obvious next one to join that. I mean, everybody else in that kind of category of actor seems to do. I mean, fucking Dave Bautista will probably be the fucking villain in the 15th one. It's just a matter of time before all these big guys are just all in that franchise, right? Kevin Costner to star in and direct his passion project, Horizon. It's a Western that he's been trying to make for over 2 decades. That is awesome. He will be making his return. He was making his return to the director's chair for the film for the first time in a long time, and he'll star in it. Kyle Allen is to play He-Man in the live-action Masters of the Universe for Netflix. Titan Season 4 is official. We know that. They casted some people. Joseph Morgan, Franco Potente, and Lisa Ambalavanara. That's some name you got there. You couldn't have come up with a stage name or something for that one. Ethan Chase sounds like the name of an actor. Ethan Tremblay doesn't make any goddamn sense. It's confusing. Sounds made up. Yeah, I made it up. I know you made it up. It's your fucking stage name. Paramount Plus sets cast for the Grease prequel series, Rise of the Pink Ladies. You know who's going to love that? My mom is going to love that. She should watch that TV series. She's a big fan of the movie. Don't count Paramount Plus out of the race yet. They have some very interesting content coming. I mean, the Sheridan universe alone, but now they're the ones doing Halo. They're the ones doing things like this Grease prequel series and whatnot. They got a lot in the works. They have the Star Trek universe. They have stuff over there. Other things. Paramount Plus. Here, look at this. Developing urban cowboy TV series. Justin Simeon to helm Flashdance reboot. These are all Paramount, right? Halo eyes Fear the Walking Dead co-executive producer as the showrunner for a possible season 2. That was weeks ago. Now it is an official season 2, already renewed before it even comes out. They must have a lot of faith in it. I am so hyped for that series. Mayor of Kingstown renewed for a second season. Makes sense. Chloe Grace Moretz and Joseph Gordon-Levitt to star in White Knight, based on Jonestown mass murder-suicide. Holy shit. Dakota Johnson to play Madam Web in Sony Universe of Marvel characters. That 70s show spinoff, that 90s show, has found the actress who will be playing the main character, Eric and Donna's daughter. Scream sequel, of course, already in the fucking works. Now we got a 6th one, right? Scream is the main topic of the week. This week, our film that we will be talking about. So, it seems like every time I'm about to talk about something, there's a sequel or a second season in the works for that very thing we are talking about. Yellowstone renewed for season 5. Of course, obviously. Loki star Gugu Mbatha Raw, who played Renslayer? She played Renslayer? Yeah, she confirms that Renslayer will return in season 2. Don't forget, Loki is the first of the Marvel shows to get a second season renewal so far. David Lynch joins cast of Steven Spielberg's The Fabelmans. Gotham Knights spin-off for Gotham Knights and Walker spin-off get pilot orders at the CW. I'm still confused as to how the CW keeps. Now they're gonna have all these. They have these things coming out, and at the same time it's up for sale. I don't know how that works. I talked about that last time. It confuses me a little. I gotta do a little more research. No surprise here, Euphoria was renewed for a third season. Still haven't watched it. Everybody tells me to. I'm sure I'll get around to it. Nope. Got a first look and then a trailer, like I said. Lord of the Rings got a first trailer. By the way, the rights for gaming in that universe, Middle-earth, they're up for sale. You could see some pretty cool video games in that world coming out before you know it. In The Heights star, Anthony Ramos joins Marvel's Ironheart series on Disney+. Russell Crowe joins the Spider-Man spin-off Kraven the Hunter. Thank God for that multiverse, because Russell Crowe is also supposed to play fucking Zeus, isn't he? In the Marvel Universe? Rebel Moon first look. Just some concept art. This is supposed to be Zack Snyder's, Star Wars, right? It's his big epic. I'm looking forward to it, but there was some concept art, just to get an idea of what it might look like. The best thing about Obi-Wan Kenobi, other than the poster, was getting an official premiere date for it. We know it comes out. It comes out May 25th. It's coming, which it's just still, it's like we're going to be going into March now. Where's that trailer? You know? That's all I'm saying. It's like we're so close. Where's the trailer? Futurama revival ordered at Hulu, but the voice actor of Bender, is it Bender? Never really watched Futurama. He's not returning. End of watch TV series from David Ayer in the works at Fox. Blade Runner 2099 is the official title of the Ridley Scott live-action sequel series that I talked about many, many months ago. Now we have an official title, and it is confirmed to be coming sooner than you think. It's in the works, I think, at Amazon now officially. Shang-Chi star Simu Liu, again I butcher names and I apologize, joins Margot Robbie in Greta Gerwig's Barbie film. Daredevil, Jessica Jones, all those shows are they're leaving Netflix, like I said, but it seems very much like they're going to be on Disney Plus soon, especially with the reintroduction of characters from those shows. More recently, in Spider-Man and Hawkeye, there was new footage from Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam. There was footage from Aquaman 2, footage from The Flash. It all looks very, very juicy. Ahsoka Tano, Disney Plus. It has Ray Stevenson, Florence Pugh, Rami Malek, Benny Safdie join Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. That cast is stacked. Stacked. Like I've never seen before. Chris Evans to play Gene Kelly in a new film from the Oscar-nominated writer John Logan. And then more recently, Spider-Man No Way Home takes down Avatar to become the third biggest movie ever at the domestic box office. And basically saved the entire box office during COVID, didn't it? Peaky Blinders sets February premiere date. Now, I don't know how it works, though. Will we be able to see it over here on this side of the pond? Or do we have to wait until it finishes over there and then it's on Netflix? Or is it just all at the same time? I gotta have that series. I gotta have the final season of that sooner rather than later. Black Adam writer to write a Wonder Twins movie show? What is it for HBO Max? What is it? 1883 renewed, Yellowstone renewed. biggest news for me and for anyone who's a fan of the Sheridan universe was just learning everything that Taylor Sheridan and Paramount Plus have cooking for us in the coming years. No surprise, the hit shows of Sheridan's world, Yellowstone, 1883, Mayor of Kingstown, all renewed, right? Season 5 of Yellowstone, Season 2 of Mayor of Kingstown, and 1883. All three I've watched, all three I've very much enjoyed, some more than others. But on top of that, last time we had big news about Taylor Sheridan was in 2020, remember? When he announced all these. Now they've done this to us again. I'm so excited for all the shows that he has in the works. This man is a hell of a writer. He's a hell of a fucking storyteller. He's also a hell of a director, and he's become this mega superstar showrunner for Paramount, and he has all these ideas cooking in his head, and he's been hard at work. I've never seen anything like it. The filmography, the slate, the upcoming slate for this man is epic. And I love his whole style and his whole voice and vision, the genres that he prefers to dive into and spend time in, and the way that they all comment on and focus on and present a conversation about real world life things. It just continues to blow me away. And he has announced 5 new TV series that he will be working on for Paramount Plus, all coming sooner than you think, right? We have another Yellowstone universe prequel. It is a prequel to Yellowstone, just like 1883, but it's also now a sequel to 1883, and it's called 1932. And he's going to do something that I've always wanted to see. It's something that I've always kind of, myself as a storyteller, especially with the project I'm working on now, wanted to do. I wanted to tell a story with this kind of genre and tone blending of like what happens when the Wild West meets the kind of industrial East Coast, Midwest kind of world and lifestyle, especially during Prohibition and whatnot. 1932 is going to see how the West was dealing with these Eastern and Northern and Midwest influences. It's like this whole idea of merging Westerns with gangsters kind of thing, and that's something I very much enjoy myself writing, but something you don't see a lot. I have a very good feeling that's what he's going with here. So 1932, we'll see how the Duttons and characters that we've met in 1883, like the young son grown up, like seeing characters we've met and how they're dealing with these conflicts in a different era. We're seeing how the Duttons continued to fight for their land and whatnot in a completely new time period. That's the big one, right? But then he has 4 other shows not connected, but all very much within his style. And that's the King of Tulsa is my number 1 must watch of these new 4. That's got Sylvester Stallone in it. I talked about it pretty recently being announced. He plays a mob boss fresh out of prison who has to continue to earn for the crime family he works for, and he decides to do it in Tulsa. Then you have Lioness is a real life look at an actual factual division in the government. It's like this partnership between special forces and the CIA. Zoe Saldana is going to be starring in it, and I think Nicole Kidman is a producer. That's very interesting. One of the other ones called The Landman, and he specifically developed this for Billy Bob Thornton. And it tells the story of like kind of, I guess, the land trade of America in contemporary age. The oil business, I think, is what it's about, not land. That's more of a Yellowstone theme running top. I am mumbling. Wow. Words are just not hitting. Fuck. My bad. Let me keep it moving. Yeah, and one of the other ones is obviously the final show is it's called Bass Reeves. Bass Reeves is another Western, so he seems to be his favorite genre, and it's no surprise, considering he's something of a cowboy himself, Taylor Sheridan. This one tells the story of a real life marshal or deputy from the 1800s who was kind of the inspiration for the Lone Ranger. Is it? I think, yeah. And he's an African American too. He was kind of whitewashed in our pop culture. It's not someone he's kind of forgotten about. This real life figure, and this is the story of Bass Reeves that we're getting. And I'm just excited for every one of these shows. Every one of them. But yeah, let's get out of the news here, because we got to get to our topics. It's already been a half an hour. Just a couple other quick things. They want to split Yellowstone Season 5 into 2 parts, because apparently this one's 14 episodes instead of 10. The Boys, Jack Quaid boards Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, so another person joining that cast. Jimmy Smits Bail Organa to return in Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's fucking great. Paramount sets A Quiet Place 3 to debut in 2025. Beavis and Butthead going out of this world for a 2022 film. Peacemaker renewed. Billions, great show I need to catch up on. I'm still only on season 4. Was renewed for a 7th season at Showtime. Stranger Things, obviously, big news. And I heard that John Williams himself, the Star Wars legend, will be composing the theme for Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, could you ask for more there? Now, Ridley Scott told us about Blade Runner. He also gave us an update on Alien. Alien TV series will be a prequel set in the 21st century. But apparently filming was delayed to 2023. Walter Goggins to lead Amazon's Fallout TV series. Whoa. Robert Downey Jr. to reunite with Shane Black for a proper Parker film adaptation at Amazon. And we got a first look at Nolan's Oppenheimer, too. Aaron Pierre joins the cast of Marvel's Blade alongside Mahershala Ali. On top of that, Quentin Tarantino is in talks to direct episodes of the Justified revival with Timothy Olyphant. This would be Tarantino's introduction to TV finally after teasing it for so long. I really hope they do this. It's in this Western kind of genre too. It's perfect for Tarantino. I think would be fucking awesome. Some behind the scenes promotion for Spider-Man as it's getting near to its VOD streaming release and whatnot. They did a real life reenactment, the 3 Spider-Men of the famous meme, and it's great. It's just so in the spirit of Spider-Man No Way Home, and I love it so much. Check out that photo. I'm sure everybody saw that fucking photo. I can't believe that Tom Holland has 63 million followers on Instagram. I saw that today. That's fucking insane. That picture too has like 20 fucking million likes. It's insane. Everybody and their mother saw that fucking post. Yeah, that's unreal. But let's so that's the news of the last fucking however many months and stuff. Just insane. The big thing I saw though recently too was they have confirmed the 4th Star Trek, and apparently all of the cast is returning, but also apparently was news to them. Like the cast didn't know anything about it. That's what I heard. So I'm very curious to see how that continues to unfold as we go here. But let's get into our topics. We have 3 this week, as that seems to be the new norm for Screen Preach podcast, right? we will start with the TV shows, since they were kind of more recent. They're fresh. They're more fresh in our minds, and they ended pretty recently, those seasons. And they had a lot of different. They were divisive. Some in some ways, in other ways, they were beloved, and they certainly had an impact on me and my most recent viewing. And they definitely kept me busy week after week. The whole week after week format of releasing things it works for me. I never mind it. Either way works for me. But let's start with the Book of Boba Fett, because here we are. We finally got the next series after The Mandalorian, and before Mandalorian returns, and before all these other shows are supposed to come out. This was their chance to give us a proper spin-off, in a way, of The Mandalorian and of Star Wars in general, of a character we know, a character maybe we've loved or didn't love as much, but now care to see the story of. And it's divisive, the reception of this, to say the least. It's definitely going to be the most divisive conversation I have of the three here, because it's a series I myself am even torn on. I know most people are either giving it a pass because it had 3 exceptionally solid episodes, while others are shitting on it for that very same reason, right? Because it kind of turned into this Mandalorian tease. There will be spoilers for everything we talk about, obviously, here. So, just prepare for that. I find myself both enthralled with this series and disappointed. Shouldn't surprise anyone, right? If you've seen it, for anyone who's lived and breathed the Star Wars, knows what makes Star Wars special. And I'm not even just talking about these shows. I'm talking about Star Wars in general. I'm talking about the originals. It seems like Star Wars, it had everything. It had something for everybody, right? It was the ultimate genre blend that just kind of hit everybody in their own unique way. It's kind of like Batman, or everybody has their idea of what Star Wars is to them and means to them. And it had so many things for me that I adored. That's why I love it so much, because pretty much all of it was something I really enjoyed, genre-wise. And its ability to merge those genres. It's probably its biggest accomplishment and its most underappreciated or overlooked accomplishment was its ability to do that. Star Wars is a sci-fi franchise, right? On the surface, any casual fan will be like, I don't like sci-fi, that's sci-fi, or I love sci-fi. But it's also a Western. It's a Western. It's a space adventure. Sometimes it's a space romance, opera, drama. Sometimes it's a samurai Japanese action film. It's a straight up action adventure film, or it's a gangster film. And on the smallest, briefest level, a gangster film, because there was a lot of influence from Francis Ford Coppola was one of George Lucas's friends. The Godfather had an influence. The whole gangster side of things, the underworld of Star Wars, is something we've always wanted to see. At least fans like myself have just always wanted to see a proper story in that cornerstone of this galaxy far, far away. It's kind of like Marvel in that way, they have their own cornerstone Star Wars universe, and this was a chance to really dive into it. So the way that The Mandalorian can really play with the Western undertones, the Book of Boba Fett was supposed to be that show that gave me I'm a huge gangster film fan, so I finally was like, yes, I want to see Star Wars in that gangster spotlight. I didn't get that space Godfather that I thought I would. Maybe got 25% of that. That's why I'm kind of I want a second season of this, just to see if they could really do it this time. dive all the way into the underworld. Boba Fett at the center of it. This season was less about Boba Fett, and it was more about continuing some larger narrative that the creators at Disney seem to be building. Everybody wants to be fucking Marvel now, you know? Which, I mean, I don't mind that either. I love that. I love if Star Wars is this huge thing like that. But I'd prefer if they allowed for the space for these smaller, more specific stories to exist without it having to be some kind of giant connected thing, right? I have hope, you know, especially if they do decide to do a second season, that they could do that. But yeah, I mean, the first mistake of the series is it spends way too much time on the flashbacks. I thought it just way too much. I didn't need to know how Boba got to where we saw him in The Mandalorian. I just didn't. The time in between Return of the Jedi and The Mandalorian, like, it just, you can give us a little bit, but I don't need I mean, especially for how short the episodes are, I don't need that much time spent on what Boba Fett was doing in between. Yeah, I wanted to see him get out of the Sarlacc pit. That first episode, fine. But we should have gotten to him meeting Fennec Shan very quickly, and then just keep it all about what's going on now. And then it turns into The Mandalorian 2.5, season 2.5, which a lot of people are complaining about. Other people are praising it for that. I fall in between. I love those episodes. Some of the best Star Wars storytelling are those episodes. They're great. They're fantastic. I love those episodes, but they don't belong in this particular series. It's called the Book of Boba Fett. It didn't seem to fit at all. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, Boba Fett was never one of my favorite characters of all time, but he was always one of the coolest. He was always one of the coolest. And The Mandalorian made him, like, they made him even more impactful a character. I loved him even more because of The Mandalorian, right? So I was excited for this to be very much a show about Boba Fett. And I mean, especially when you have the actors like you do. I mean, Tamara Morrison and Ming-Na Wen, they're fucking awesome. They're so good at playing these characters, and I felt like we didn't spend a lot of time with it. It's just it was weird. But I mean, I can't complain either, because my favorite character of all time, forever, is Luke Skywalker. I know that's very, like, you know, that's very predictable choice to make, like, the hero of it all. Like, how, I mean, but he is. He's always been. He's my favorite character of all time in Star Wars, not of all movies. But I love Luke Skywalker, and when they put him in this show, how can I complain about it? Especially when they do such a great job of continuing Luke's story, almost, in a way, making me want a fucking Luke Skywalker TV series with Mark Hamill and this stunt double. I'd love this body double thing. I would love to see, like, a Luke Skywalker TV series. I'm not even kidding about that. And that episode was fucking awesome. But again, it just didn't fit here, right? Yeah. It was just too awesome. I mean, the way they brought Mark Hamill back in again, the way that Din Djarin returns. The Mandalorian is in this. Ahsoka Tano for a second, again. And then, I mean, you can't knock the way that they gave Cad Bane. They finally did it, you know? They gave us one of the best Star Wars characters ever. Their live-action debut, Cad Bane. And they also completed and resolved his overall storyline, his overall place in this larger narrative came to an end in this series. So, I mean, that was great. I really, really, really loved that. And that finale was epic enough to give it a very enjoyable conclusion. An overall pretty enjoyable 7 or so hours, too. It was flawed. It was at times disappointing. And that's where I'll leave it. when you come to the other side of things, if you go on over to HBO Max, they premiered a new series that shocked me, that surprised me, right? And that was Peacemaker. Gotta talk about Peacemaker. I mean, that was just, it blew my head off because it surprised me at every turn. It's not a show I was hyped for or even planning to watch, right? I just said, I think something about this feels right. It feels like it fits on HBO Max. It feels like something I gotta check out. I'm a fan of Titans. I'm a fan of Doom Patrol. This seems like it could take the DC TV shows to the next level if done properly. And of course, it's James fucking Gunn, so I'm in, right? But it's not like I was like fiending for it. I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait till Peacemaker comes out. I'm gonna go watch Peacemaker. I just gave it a shot, and it did not disappoint. As you know, it's a spin-off of Suicide Squad, right? So Suicide Squad, the more recent one, directed by James Gunn. It was a good movie. Me and my friend Chase talked about it on episode 66, right? It was good, not great. The film didn't blow me away and get me like all hyped for this Peacemaker series. If anything, I was like shocked that like, okay, why is Peacemaker of all characters, who I didn't even end up liking at the end of Suicide Squad, getting his own series? That whole moral argument of the film is presented in the form of these two characters, right? They're opposing views. We have Bloodsport and we have Peacemaker. Peacemaker didn't exactly fall on the side that you're going to agree with, right? Or the side that we all relate to in terms of that moral argument. So why Peacemaker? But of course it makes perfect sense. It allows for a very enriched story, right? Because it's the story of fucking redemption and goddamn badassery, too. It also allowed John Cena to just really show what he's got. And that was the best thing about it. He did such an amazing job playing this character. And I really, I was shocked by John Cena. And then James Gunn, just his entire energy, it's dialed to the max. It manages to transcend whatever was done in Suicide Squad. Guardians of the Galaxy, let's be honest, it's probably Gunn's best work in terms of especially this genre. But something about utilizing the TV medium for his unique voice, especially for this kind of character, it made a lot of sense, and it gave us one of the better superhero TV shows. Something about the TV format made this work so well, and yeah, John Cena managed to prove he's a good fucking actor, right? It wasn't what I expected, and I have to point out too, the character of Vigilante, that was like a breakout kind of performance thing. Like he was fucking like he had like this Deadpool like vibe to him that I just loved. He was badass. He was even more. It's like Deadpool to the 10th degree because he's a complete sociopath and he's just out of his fucking mind. But the humor. The humor and this like kind of heartwarming personality behind his naivety and whatnot. Like it was a great fucking character all around. It was just unbelievable. The show managed to be equal parts invigorating, emotional, and it's so funny, hilarious, so fucking funny. It's a must-watch. Definitely go check out Peacemaker now. It's on HBO Max, the first season, and it is renewed for a second season. I'm so fucking thrilled that they're coming back, and that I gave this a chance. I even cried too. I'm not gonna spoiler, but like when Eagly he's almost dead, and then he comes back, and the eagle hugging Chris, John Cena's character, Peacemaker, the hugging, I with the music, and then it's got everything you want. It even has a cameo if you want to see that. No, I can't. That's what else is there to say. Now we will, I guess we will just move it right the fuck along. Our final topic of the week is one of the latest and most recent big budget blockbustery films, and that is the latest horror revival, Scream. That's right. Scream. Not Scream 5. Not even Stab. Scream. The fifth in the overall franchise. I saw this with Dave actually right after we recorded episode 70, because that's when they came out. We both agreed it was decent, but we differed on some of the things that we weren't 100% in agreement on whether or not it was great or good, or I don't know. We both weren't like blown away by it, that's for sure. Look, here's the thing with Scream, okay? I respected this kind of aggressive approach they took to being this requel, and they couldn't be more meta with it. I mean, let's let these fucking bikes go by, and I'll tell you. I move out of this apartment soon. I can't fucking wait. Everything's so fucking loud. Yeah, they were so adamant about this being a requel because they didn't let you forget it. I suppose it's the only way we can accept any continuation of any great horror franchise these days is them like trying to kind of soft reboot it or give this like sequel that's not quite a sequel. I don't know. Yeah, that's not annoying. What are we doing? Are we shooting? Like, what is this? What are you getting? You want everyone to know that you're going by, right? God, if that isn't a fucking overcompensation for something, I don't know what is. Sorry. I'm sorry. I can't. With the bikes, sometimes I just can't. Like, I'd love to have a bike one day. Really? But I won't be extra about it. Yeah. Scream is like any other, like, it's totally playing it's playing off of the energy of the original, just like any of these requels do, right? It's every bit as meta and as gory and as scary as the first one. Not as funny, which is a problem. But it doesn't quite stick the landing, only because it tried to fake out the fake out, if that makes sense. It was just too much going on, right? They tried to make us think, oh, there's no way they'll do the same kind of twist as the original. Let's call out the boyfriend early on, throw everybody off. Let's add a bruise or two onto a couple different characters, throw them off. But at the end of the day, the second they called out the boyfriend character, I was like, okay, it's Jack Quaid. He's got the kind of vibe. Like, I'm like, they're probably going to just do that, right? And I knew exactly when they were doing it, too. There was a moment in the movie when, like, the character doesn't quite have this, like, human reaction to something. I'm like, okay, that's a weird reaction to have. I think they're going with the boyfriend thing again. And, of course, I was right. So you didn't fake me out, and that's a problem. You should fake me out, and then I'll care more about it, I was hoping they wouldn't do that either, because up until the point in the film, there was a lot of momentum for the most part until it became clear what they were doing. So if the twist was good and the conclusion and whatnot, I would have cared more. But it's not easy to do, It might have been, it might have been one of my it would have been one of my favorite horror sequels if it stuck the landing. Like the Halloween one in 2018, it is one of my, like, I love that film, right? It wasn't like that, it didn't quite handle it that well. We were even talking about it, me and Dave, a little bit, like, they almost could have done it where it was like, eliminate the other films like Halloween did, right? Eliminate the other films, just make it the original, and then this one, then maybe it might have had like a, whole other element to it, whole other side to it. It could have felt more like a sequel instead of this requel thing. I don't know. It just became predictable. Even when commenting continuously on its predictability, I mean, the nods were fun sometimes, but annoying at other times. The setups were clear, but the payoffs were flat, right? It tried to play with a more psychological approach, too, sometimes to things, which was interesting at first, then kind of got weird. I think I would have preferred they save the reveal of Billy Loomis being related to the main character. Almost like if you save that to the end, maybe that would have had more of an impact. There would have been more of a twist there. I'm not 100% sold on that, though. That might not have worked either. But this whole thing they do with it being tied into the character's mental state, it just didn't quite pay off as compelling as I would have liked it to. I knew when it was the boyfriend, but I also thought there was a chance it was gonna be like one of the legacy characters or something. But I wasn't 100% on that either. There's no way they were gonna do that. And then there was this ultra fucking meta moment. It was like so out of left field and weird. It was like, okay, cool, like a nod to the satire king, right, Tarantino. Because, I mean, Scream has always been full of, like, satire and whatnot. It just did not fit in this at all. There's this literal fucking nod to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Because one of the killers is the same actress, one of the same actresses from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and the character who gets blown away by the flamethrower in Once Upon a Time, Leo blows her away with the flamethrower. Like, it's the same death here. Like, it's flames, and she's, like, screaming, and it's like a direct nod to that. And it's so weird. It just did not fit here. It was just like, I mean, way out of left field. I mean, interesting in the moment when you catch it. Like me and Dave like both turned to each other. Like it was like funny because it was like, but like it just so weird. And then of course there's the good of the film, right? And although it sucks that the legacy characters, Sydney, Dewey, and Gale, feel a little bit sidelined. They do get their moments, which are effective moments when they happen. It was the highlight of the movie. Dewey's death, of course, being like the most well done and emotionally compelling sequence in the movie. On the bright side, for me, I'd say this film is maybe up there a little bit more with, but there's only so many Scream films. It's at the bottom, I guess, not at the top, if you think about it. Scream 4 is actually my favorite sequel, I think, which is interesting. Enjoyed that one more. But my point with this one is it's not like I won't watch it again. I probably would still watch it again, you know? Although it's a toss-up. I gotta be honest. And now we have that 6th film coming out. Can we just call it, me and Dave joke, can we just call it Stab? That would make it interesting, because that would be different. I know I'm bringing Dave up a lot in this episode, but that is because there's a potential BMS Studios production coming soon, which we will let you know about as it becomes more official. So stay tuned for that. That is our topics this week. That is episode 71, and we will move into our final segments and get on out of here. But let me rank these for you. Let me give you my rankings for these 3 recent additions to the conversation of cinema and television. Scream. I'm going to give Scream a 7.4 out of 10. It was okay. Book of Boba Fett, an 8 out of 10. It was good, not great. And then Peacemaker was a 9.2 out of 10 for me, because it was fucking great. What about you guys? If you've seen these, what are your rankings? What did you think of these things? Yeah. I love the timing of My Neighbor Above Me. He's a good guy, but he doesn't want to help me out with the noise. always at the worst times. I gotta hear stomping now. Look, what's next? You're gonna start blasting the music when I'm recording. If you would have just exchanged numbers with me in the first place, I could have told you, now's not a good time. Let's do our behind the camera for this week. And in the spirit of our topics, I'm going with a series I love, something I've probably wanted to talk about for a while. And that is the game-changing animated series Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Did you know that George Lucas and the other creators of Star Wars: The Clone Wars specifically meant for it to have its own distinct look and feel? It's why the animation style is so different from other shows and movies of American culture. Lucas took direct inspiration from Japanese manga and anime, and even more specifically, based some of the designs off of the old 1960s British series, Thunderbirds. The creators even purposefully turned away other animation styles like Pixar and Disney. Also, many have come to know just how integral the creative mind of Dave Filoni is to the Star Wars universe. Being one of the biggest Star Wars fans alive, he was taken under the wing of George Lucas after Lucas saw Filoni's work on Avatar: The Last Airbender. Filoni was pursued by the man himself and has since been a fruitful partnership between the two. Filoni even spearheading many other storylines in the Star Wars narrative. His biggest achievement, of course, probably being the creation of Ahsoka Tano, one of the greatest Star Wars characters of all time. Also, I never knew the movie was an afterthought to the series. So there was a Clone Wars movie, but it was an afterthought to the series. The animated film only exists because George Lucas had watched footage of the series on a big screen and felt the story was well suited for cinemas. But also, making the film put a lot of extra stress on the production staff, who were hard at work on the series. Throwing a movie in the mix wasn't exactly a breeze. Perhaps the most shocking thing about the Clone Wars, and this is not the most unknown thing, is that it was actually almost canceled because Disney thought it was too graphic. Of course, like all Star Wars, it's aimed at children, but there's no denying that as it matured, it gained a massive adult following that really made it the hit that it is. When Disney bought the rights to Lucasfilm in 2012, they ended the series after its 6th season due to the more stylized visuals and graphic violence, not to mention the emotional adult storylines. Ultimately, and fortunately, they came around and gave the series a proper 7th and final season in 2020. It has since gone on to become one of the best television seasons of all time, not just animation, and that is a fact. I love this show, even though it took me ages to finally get around to it. I am sure glad I did. Next, moving on here to our next one, we got our debate this week. I decided I actually wanted to do two. I'll post them separately, but I have two questions for you guys. The obvious one is first and foremost, what is your Scream ranking, right? Because it's a debatable one to have. I think it's a good one. I was even not sure as I said it to you guys before. Yeah, I think it's, for me, the original obviously is first, but Scream 4 is second, and then Scream 2. And then this more recent Scream 3 is the worst. It definitely is. And then I have to ask, now that we've spent time with this religion, this type of character in the Star Wars universe, who is the best Mandalorian we've met so far in Star Wars? Is it Din Djarin? Is it Boba Fett? Is it Jango Fett? And for me, I think I'm going to go with Din Djarin first. I think he stole the show and he's number one now. Then Boba, then Jango. Din, Boba. You know what? No, I think I'm going to go Din, Boba, Sabine Wren, then Bo-Katan, then Jango, then Pre Vizsla, Fen Rao. I'm even gonna throw Tar Vizsla in there. You just have to with his fucking amazing storyline, and I mean the fact that it's getting mentioned more too. It's important. But yeah, what about you guys? Those two. And my recommendations of the week are any of the upcoming films, especially in the Oscar race. A lot of great dramas, a lot of great films to check out. I mean, I'm still catching up on them, but any of them if you haven't, like Power of the Dog, Being the Ricardos, Tick Tick Boom, Bruised, Passing, Dune. You gotta see fucking Dune. Tender Bar's pretty good. There's just a lot of stuff to see. Also, finally got around to checking out the Harry Potter 20th anniversary special. And it was fucking really good, too. Especially if you're a huge fan. That was fun to watch and even had me emotional watching it. I guess I just miss them, too. You know, I miss, like, that whole world, that whole family that I grew up on. Like, that was really good. And then let's do this week's episode of The Draft. As I said I would, we're on writing the first draft part 2. I'm just going to talk about specific things I do when I'm writing the draft. I already told you when I do my first draft, it's whatever's in my head, it's just coming out, it's pouring out, right? But I do have these little tactics I do to get through the draft, like specifically maybe like things will pop in my head. And this becomes more of a thing when I'm building and fleshing out the second draft. Is this just writing down changes as they come to me? Just writing them down in the notes section, in the tabs of the draft. I'll literally act out the characters. I have to hear them. For dialogue, I do have to hear what they're saying to each other, so I will talk it out, not just write it down. You know, I gotta hear it. And then I guess sometimes too, I gotta literally flesh something specific out to get over the hump of a problem and solve a problem. Like some random thing might pop into my head that I gotta fix, and then I'll go over into the tabs section and just write out all this stuff to help me fix that problem. It could be the most random thing, and then it helps me fix it and I can move on. But if I'm stuck, I do find myself doing that. An example once was I wasn't 100% on a character. I was not sure what the character's arc was, so it turned into this whole fleshing out of like what kind of person he is, and I even like built out a history for him that is unnecessary. You don't have to do it. It's not. I mean, I do that for most of the characters in the beginning when I'm prepping a lot of this, when I'm outlining, but I've learned more and more that it doesn't have to be some expanded thing that you do all this time, you spend all this time on, but sometimes it helps. Sometimes I'll be in the middle of the draft, this first draft, and I need to flesh out a character more. I'm not sure what they're doing there sometimes. And if they don't belong there too, they will be kill your darlings. They will be whacked. I'll whack a character. No problem if they don't belong. And I don't mean just killing them off. I mean like they might have to be written completely out. Yes, I mean that's like kind of the basic stuff that I do there. Because you remember, I'm pulling from whatever my basic outline is. These flashcards, these index cards, have the basic description of what the scene is on it, and the wants, opposed, purpose of the scene in the overall movie. I'm just going based off of those ideas in the moment, and just letting it pour out of me. But yeah, as we go through the next few weeks and whatnot, the next episode of The Draft, I'll talk about the when the real work starts. When in between draft 1 and 2, the real work starts for me when it's time to start working on the second draft. And any work happening after the first draft is done is work on the second draft, I suppose. Someone put it to me that way, and I never thought of it that way before. I always called it being in between drafts, and I think I'll title it that way. But my immediate moves after finishing the first draft, just to finish off this week's discussion, I'll do 2 read-throughs twice, right? I'll read through it twice and make small edits as I do. At least on the first read, small edits. On the second read, I read it through and don't stop. Just get through it. And from there comes the in-between stuff, which we will get into next week. On the next week or next month or whenever the next episode, which we will get to on episode 72 of Screen Preach. And that is the draft. And that is our episode of Screen Preach this week. Episode 71. Scream, the book Boba Fett, Peacemaker. Thanks for watching and listening as always. Shout out to the patrons, as always. My family that continue to support me. There's Billy Thomas. That's just me. I don't even have to say that anymore. Jessica Murphy, obviously my cousin Jessica Murphy. Mike Morganti, my father. Linda Morganti, my mother, right? Tijan Construction is my father and brother's company. And then Doolin Morganti, my sister. So I appreciate you, patrons. I appreciate you 150%. But yeah, great episode. Had a lot of fun. Felt like I was flowing all the way through it. Come back for the next one. I'll let you know. I always do. As usual, though, you want to follow me personally at Benji Morganti on Instagram. You want to follow the show, Screen Preach. You want to subscribe. I'm telling you, you want to. You want to subscribe to BMS Studios on YouTube. 4 episodes of this show, other content, upcoming content. And you want to check out my website, benmorgantistory.com, which has all my work on it. All my work. And if you want to support the show, become a patron at patreon.com/preacher. Thank you for listening and watching as always, and have a cinematic week.